Good evening, everyone. This is Melissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the evening news rundown for your Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And just as always, we'd like to leave a quick invitation to those interested in advertising or sponsoring Florida National News, whether on our website or sponsoring one of our different segments. You can shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com to find out more and get started. As always, guys, we'd like to start you with the latest COVID-19 reports globally here in the United States and in the state of Florida. And again, we still invite you guys to leave a comment below with any person that you want us to highlight during our COVID-19 report. If there's someone who you personally know who has survived it or who has unfortunately passed away. If you have had COVID-19 and survived it, even better. We would love to highlight that person's name or your name in our comments as we give these reports to kind of restore or reinforce the human element in all of this, because we know the numbers can be kind of overwhelming and sometimes we can forget that these are people that we are referring to behind these numbers. All right. So jumping into the world portion, the World Health Organization is reporting over 35.6 million confirmed cases and over 1,044,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the United States, Johns Hopkins is reporting over 7.52 million confirmed cases and over 211,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the state of Florida, according to the Department of Health, we're seeing over 722,000 confirmed cases, and we're at 15,000 confirmed deaths now between residents and non-residents. Now, jumping into our world story today, and we're talking about COVID-19 hospitalizations, not only in England, as you see in our lower third here, but also in several states in the United States. But there is an increase in COVID-19 hospitalizations, particularly in England. You guys have been hearing us report for you about sort of that impasse or the tug of war that Prime Minister Johnson has had with his people in England in terms of heeding the COVID-19 restrictions. So the number of people admitted to the hospital with COVID-19 on one day has jumped by nearly a quarter in England. There were 478 people admitted to the hospital on Sunday, which is the largest daily figure since early June. So that was an increase from 386. They were reporting that back in June. So more than 2/3 of those were in the Northwest, Northeast, and Yorkshire. And it comes as a further 14,542 cases were confirmed across the whole of the UK as of Tuesday. Now that daily figure has kind of increased in the last 2 weeks. Now, extra restrictions have been introduced in many areas of the UK to try to contain the spread of the virus, including across the whole of Scotland and Northern Ireland. Now, on top of these national measures, part of Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and areas in the Midlands, Lancashire, Merseyside, West Yorkshire, and the northeast of England have seen additional rules imposed. The government will push ahead with a new 3-tier approach to restrictions in local areas of England in an effort to replace the patchwork of existing measures. Now, under this system, local areas will be put under one of 3 levels of restrictions based on the number of cases per 100,000 people. So again, we'll continue to keep you guys updated with regards to that. Here in the United States, of course, as I mentioned just a moment ago, we're seeing an increase in hospitalizations, COVID-19 hospitalizations across the Midwest, namely 7 states right now. Now, the surge of COVID-19 hospitalizations and new cases in these states coincides with President Trump and several members of his White House staff testing positive for COVID-19. Now, several of the states that have been hit as of Monday include Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming. These states have been reporting their highest figures. Wisconsin's Department of Health Services issued a directive that gatherings will be limited to no more than 25% of a room or building's total occupancy, given their increase in cases as well. The Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers said in a recent statement, quote, "We're in a crisis right now and need to immediately change our behavior to save lives. We are continuing to experience a surge in cases and many of our hospitals are overwhelmed. And I believe limiting out indoor public gatherings will help slow the spread of the virus." Now, of course, in New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo is doing some more restrictions as well. He announced new restrictions as the state has seen new hotspots pop up in and around New York City, which is, of course, the hardest hit metropolitan area in the US right now. Now, among these intense cluster areas that will need to apply The governor's strictest new shutdown orders are parts of Brooklyn, Queens, and parts of Rockland and Orange counties. Although other northern states are seeing better COVID-19 numbers. So the particular states that I've named for you guys, these are the ones that are seeing an increase. Governor Janet Mills said Maine was moving into the fourth stage of restarting their state's economy, saying that as of October 13th, churches, restaurants, and cinemas in their state would be allowed to operate at 50% capacity. And as you guys know, this great state of Florida reopened a couple of weeks ago per Governor Ron DeSantis's executive order. Now, speaking of the state of Florida, as we jump down here to the news going on here, you may have heard about President Trump's antibody cocktail that was administered to him at Walter Reed during his treatment there over the weekend when he had been admitted to Walter Reed. Well, apparently a facility in Maitland is offering that particular cocktail and it's available for clinical trials. Regeneron's antibody cocktail is available at ClinicCloud. So the ClinicCloud medical director, Melissa Agard, said, quote, "It's preventing disease progression. So preventing the disease from getting worse, preventing the virus from going to more places in the body." So that's really the purpose of that antibody cocktail, is to keep the coronavirus contained. The ClinicCloud clinical research in Maitland was approved to participate in this trial back in July. So they've been at it for quite a while. She said, "We have all of our PPE here, so we're keeping track of everything." Now, since July, the company has given the drug to more than a dozen trial participants. So that's good to know, and we'll continue to keep you guys posted on that. So far, the success rate has been high for them. To participate, you need to be at least 18 years of age or older and have tested positive for COVID-19 within the last 72 hours. So far, 2,000 people have participated in that trial in total, but it's not too late to join. In fact, they welcome more people, the more the merrier. So doctors are hoping that these trials will lead to FDA approval sooner rather than later. And ClinicCloud in Maitland is offering 2 Regeneron trials, one for those with symptoms and one for those without. So if you want to find out more information, just research those guys on Google. ClinicCloud in Maitland. That is ClincCloud to learn more about the trial that they've got going on in case you or somebody you know has contracted COVID-19 or tested positive within the last 72 hours. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to come back with some more stories for you. It has been a very interesting news day today. Stay tuned.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
All right, guys, welcome back to the evening news rundown. In our next story, you guys may have been following Hurricane Delta, who just finished knocking and thrashing the Yucatan Peninsula over the course of yesterday into today. Here's a little bit more visual detail for you guys. That is the satellite imaging from NOAA, from NOAA, in terms of the size of the hurricane. It was a Category 2 hurricane by the time that it made landfall early on Wednesday. And as you see on the left there, photographed by the AP, it caused a lot of downed trees in the Yucatan area, particularly in Cancun, which is, of course, the high tourist area. So a lot of the resorts had already been cleared. The Cancun Convention Center, they had about 400 individuals already there for staying overnight, kind of bunking as evacuees in preparation for landfall for the hurricane. As of 1 p.m. today, NOAA was reporting that the winds were about 100, or the location was about 115 miles west of Cabo Catoche in Mexico and about 65 miles east-northeast of Progreso, Mexico. So this is 1 p.m. Eastern time this afternoon. The maximum sustained winds of the hurricane at the time were 100 miles per hour. And the present movement was northwest or 305 degrees at 17 miles an hour. So it was moving northwest at 17 miles an hour. So it's pretty much headed out to the Gulf now. And NOAA was recommending that folks in Mississippi and Louisiana start preparing for hurricane force winds, particularly by Friday. So, and of course, Texas is going to be involved and, be affected by those winds as well. According to NOAA, there is a tropical storm watch in effect for St. Louis Pass to west of High Island, Texas, east of Grand Isle, Louisiana to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, including New Orleans, and Lake Pontchartrain and Lake Marpa. I hope I'm pronouncing those correctly. I might be butchering those names, but that's where the tropical storm watch is in effect for those respective states. Now, there is a hurricane watch in effect for High Island, Texas to Grand Isle, Louisiana as well. A storm surge watch, of course, means there's a possibility of life-threatening inundation from rising water and moving inland from the coastline in the indicated locations during the next 48 hours. So we'll continue to keep you guys posted on that as well. And as you can see, that storm is no joke. It's a pretty sizable storm. But we wanted to make sure to keep you guys updated on that as well, particularly if you're watching from any of those respective states. So we'll keep you posted on that. Other breaking story here in the United States, the former police officer who is responsible for the death of George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, has been released on bond today, $1 million bond, of course. Now, the other three police officers were previously out on $750,000 bond, and they're awaiting a trial in March. All of them will be tried together, although the judge, according to the Associated Press, is weighing the possibility of trying them separately. The judge has received the request for them to be tried separately. So the judge is weighing that option. We'll continue to keep you guys updated on that as well. And please leave a comment below on your thoughts of the whole situation. Do you think the $1 million bond, him being released on $1 million bond, was a good idea? Do you believe the bond was too low? Should it have been higher? Do you think there should have been any bond posted at all? Let us know in a comment below. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to get that conversation going. Now, jumping here to the state of Florida, the Broward County school system is preparing its precautions. So just to give you guys the rundown of what Broward County is prepared to do as students return, they wanted to they're reopening their doors to some students on Friday, as in a couple days from now. Now, during a stop at Hollywood Park Elementary, administrators showed off these spaced out desks and new plexiglass barriers intended to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Robert Runcie, who's the superintendent of Broward County Public Schools and is pictured here, he said, quote, "Everyone has been really working overtime since the summer. Our classrooms are going to be equipped with sanitizer, gels, wipes, all of the precautions that you know are recommended by the CDC. Now, every student and staff member at Broward schools will have to wear a protective face covering. Students who don't comply will be pulled aside and potentially sent back home to take part in virtual learning." So that is an important detail to know. The district has also hired more nurses. Many schools will have 2 or more. So they want to make sure to increase the number of medical personnel that are available. Another change that students are going to notice is that each classroom now has a maximum capacity limit, as well as a sign in and sign out sheet, which everyone who enters must fill out. Administrators also gave a look inside their isolation room, where any student that has symptoms will be taken. He said, quote, "We have extra PPE equipment and materials if we should need it." And this is the interim principal at Hollywood Park Elementary, by the way. I wanted to correct that. Antonio Lindsay said that they have extra PPE and materials if they need it. He said, quote, "We have a restroom that's going to be used only for students that are in the isolation room." So that is a bit of good news there as Broward County schools prepare to welcome their students at the beginning of Friday. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that as well. In the meantime, we're going to take another commercial break. We're going to come back with your business and sports stories, as well as hashtag Worker Wednesday. Our lovely Angel Perry is waiting backstage to join our conversation about the epic story of what was going on with President Trump when he made the decision to halt any conversations about coronavirus aid and then kind of switched via tweet, of course. So we will have an interesting conversation on that. Stay tuned.
I'm not picking it up. You pick it up.
I'm not picking it up.
Well, somebody's got to pick it up.
I'll pick it up. They're clean. 'Cause my hand is clean. Oh yeah, I'm Charmin clean. That's how I know they're clean.
Charmin Ultra Strong is woven like a washcloth and just cleans better.
Yeah, I'm Charmin clean.
The kid does have a
That's
point.
My hand is clean.
Enjoy the go with Charmin. And for an extra clean finish, try Charmin Flushable Wipes.
All right, guys, welcome back. In our business story, Dollar Tree is set to hire over 25,000 employees nationwide. So that is some great news for anyone looking for work. And on a business standpoint, good news for Dollar Tree to be in a position to be able to hire more personnel. So a bit of details for you guys. During Dollar Tree's 5th annual hiring event, which will kick off October 19th, the company will look to fill full and part-time positions within its Dollar Tree and Family Dollar stores and distribution centers, so also their warehouses. This includes store managers, assistant store managers, cashiers, and stocking associates, as well as seasonal help. Now, positions within the company's distribution center includes management, full and part-time order fillers, equipment operators, and warehouse associates. The company's annual nationwide hiring event is slated for October 19th to the 23rd. Now, Dollar Tree is gearing up for what's seen as a critical time for many retailers that hope to make a significant portion of their revenue and profits during the 3 months that include the holiday season, and especially that good old golden spot, Black Friday. Now, seasonal employees will also have a chance to stay with the company even after the holiday rush. In 2019, the company was able to bring on nearly 28,000 associates into new positions within the organization. So this is some good news for folks who are looking for work in the area, especially given the current economic situation. Now, jumping into our sports story very quickly, a bit of unfortunate news, but we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. Former FSU football coach and college football Hall of Famer Bobby Bowden is now hospitalized with COVID-19. He was hospitalized last week, but it was due to an infection in his leg, particularly a calf infection. And he found out last week that he had tested positive for COVID-19, but he was readmitted into the hospital as of yesterday, according to news reports. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated on that. His wife said he's going to do great. Like, she's confident that he's going to be fine. But yes, that is the latest update. He is now in the hospital as a result of COVID-19. So we'll keep you guys updated. But in the meantime, it is #Worker Wednesday. So I do want to get our lovely Angel Perry, who is the Executive Vice President of the Communications Workers of America, Local 3108. I want to make sure I get that right.
Yeah,
How you doing, Angel?
I am good. How are you, Melissa?
Doing good. Glad to have you on. Okay, so wanted to talk with you about the whiplash we saw over the last 24 hours, if you will, with the president earlier in the day yesterday tweeting like, hey, like, we're going to halt all conversation about coronavirus aid until after the election. And then what happened on Twitter in the evening, calling for more of a piecemeal solution, saying, okay, I essentially want the $1,200 checks to go out. We want the aid for the aviation industry and the PPP. Like, kind of let us know what your thoughts are on all of this.
So when he stopped the talks, at first I was just like, what are you doing? I didn't understand. I really didn't. But apparently the House was trying to add, again, I think I mentioned it last time we talked about it. They were trying to add all these provisions that really had nothing to do with COVID. I think there was some energy stuff, some nuances. It was just inappropriate, in my opinion. When you have a crisis, you should just focus on the absolute crisis. Now, in normal course of bill creation, they will put stuff in a bill that they're just trying to pass for law, whether it's, for example, say they want to give licensing to flying cars. I'm just saying for an example.
For example.
But the subject is about building highways. So, but that's normal for Congress. Where the exception and the egregious behavior comes into play is that there are so many families without jobs, on the edge of homelessness if they're not already. Like, the original CARES Act funding ended in July and we're in October. People are hurt. People are suffering. This is not the time to put in nonsense. And it's nonsense only because it has nothing to do with the emergency. So Senate came with a skinny bill which I don't feel was enough for the people. They want to protect how much we spend, but again, you're talking about the American people's money to begin with.
Right.
It's for us, from us. Give us our money. So I think in this particular instance, and I'm just, I guess, being on a more positive side about it, he saw the arguing, bickering, and basically told them to shut up. And then specifically said, this is what I'll sign for, which I guess it could have been articulated better so it didn't look like he was against the American people. But reading what he was asking for Congress to spend, it's very specific. Stimulus, the airlines, and the payroll, which everybody needs. This
Right.
is vital. So yeah, that first don't talk, stop the talks. That was very abrupt, but he doesn't feel well. He's diagnosed with COVID. Right. He's on medication. Well, I'll just chalk it up to that. In this particular instance, he I don't know. I can't assume but so much because there's been other things I don't agree with. But him coming out to say very specific things that he will sign, that's a good running start because he has to sign the bill into law. So he's giving them direction.
Got you.
Flip-flop.
Right, yeah. And I mean that was the running conversation after the abrupt, kill the talks. We were like, okay, the medication was like, whew. And even Speaker Pelosi said the same thing when she relayed that information to, House Democrats. Like, hey, he is on steroids. They say it kind of affects, a person's state of mind. But I do have to ask the question, though, and kind of push a little bit. Had he not tested positive and there was no medication involved, do you think he would have said the same thing, given the impasse that the White House and Senate Republicans were having with the House Democrats? You think he would have said the same thing?
So I would have to go by history. When Congress was bickering before, he did just come out with, okay, this is what I'll sign for. So when the House, and I'll just keep it simple, when the House wanted to do the $600 unemployment and extend it, and then the Senate said, no, that's too much money, we want to do $300, he did step in and say, well, why don't we meet in the middle and do $400? So
the executive order.
Right. So if I have to go by what he's already done, so if he was feeling better, I think that probably would have been the conversation. You guys need to stop bickering because all of us in the United States are saying the same thing. You six-figure people need to stop bickering and help the people that put you there. And I will say that to each and every one of them, and I know some of them personally. So it's enough is enough. Senate and the House need to just get their act together. The rest of us are starving and suffering while you're very comfortable bickering.
Right. And then just as a related sidebar to, the conversation with the stimulus money, as someone who has received the training, in COVID-19 and how it works, how to properly socially distance and do all the preventive measures. What were your thoughts on when he decided to, when he did the outing on Sunday, while he was still very much infected, but also that was Kodak, but also his decision once he did get back to the White House to immediately, remove the mask and do the recording? Just as someone who's familiar with how COVID-19 behaves, what were your thoughts on either of those decisions?
Okay, so I'm going back to the video. So he gets off the helicopter. There's nobody else around him. He goes up the stairs and he's at the balcony. to show the American people, hey, you know, I have this, but it's not going to beat me. And I'll have to take it as that. So in that particular instance, and he's taking the mask off, he's not around anybody. Technically, it's 6 to 9 feet you want to be away from somebody. We already know he tested positive. We already know he went to Walter Reed to get meds to combat it so that he's functioning while he recovers. So he's not near anybody. Now, what we don't know is once he's in the White House, is he social distancing? That's where my concern is, because once you're aware that you have an infectious disease, you are responsible for any and everybody that you may infect. That doesn't change because you're president.
Right.
Before, he didn't know, and I get that. Like, whatever, you know, everybody has something, and they don't know, and you're walking in the absence of knowledge. You have the knowledge now. So I just worry about the staff in the White House. I worry about, you know, his kid. I don't know what's going on with that, because mom is also sick, terrified.
And she's been in the White House the whole time. She was never taken to.
They have a medical facility built into the White House, so that's fine. It's a little mini hospital or whatever. So they have everything they need to take care. But you know, sometimes it's easy to forget that you have to do these things to prevent infecting someone. So that's my only concern. The whole balcony thing, like, there was a lot of hoopla about it, but he has the virus. Okay, but who was he next to? He wasn't next to anybody. Now, there was one reporter that ran up the stairs and was trying to take pictures, and that person chose to be next to him. He was specifically by himself, and that person decided, I'm going to get close-ups. That was their risk. That's the only thing I can say about that. Was their risk. He wasn't near anybody, and that person chose to run up the stairs. Let me take a photo op. Okay, this virus is deadly. Like, what are you doing? Like, the mask is for you to prevent from spreading it. It doesn't stop you from being infected. So to go next to somebody with the mask on, the mask is not a two-way protection. It's a one-way protection.
Right. But my question was, my other half of the question was about the Sunday drive, because that's a car, like, that's a vehicle, very tight space. And when the people around him, like, that's your boss, and he wants to show the people that he's okay. How do you balance that?
I don't agree with that at all. I don't know who was in the car. If he maintained not speaking, which I find that difficult, then that short drive would have been no harm. If he maintained not speaking.
That look was Kodak. Like, maybe not.
I mean, and then the virus has to have droplets in order to transfer. And in such a close proximity, limo or not, and everybody wearing masks, you have to have a two-way conversation with somebody. 10 to 15 minutes is the average. We don't know what his viral load infection saturation would have been at that time. And that's the thing. It's like, no matter how well you feel, like, you can still infect someone once you have any type of disease, really. Like, it's your responsibility not to give it to the next person. And him wanting to encourage the American people, or whatever he took it, he really would have had to just not speak that whole short ride. And I don't know if that happened.
Right. All right. So lastly, as we kind of wrap up with you here, but I did want to get your thoughts on today's news about Derek Chauvin being released on the $1 million bond, because I know that was something that you and I, the George Floyd case was something you and I had talked about very early on. So, I mean, just kind of give your thoughts on that news.
Well, we want the judicial system to be completely fair and non-biased, and we can't protest about what it's not fair being, and then when we know someone did something egregious and it's on video for the whole world to see, and then be mad that the judicial system actually worked, even though he did not give that opportunity to George Floyd. He just 8 minutes 46 seconds on his neck. The judicial system is working as intended. So once you are arrested and indicted for something, it's not meant for you to be punished at that point. Once a judge ascertains that that person is not a flight risk or harm to himself or another person, which then I have to question that whole judgment in itself, because that's what happens when you go before the judge and they kind of see, okay, will you harm yourself? No. Will you harm someone else? I think that's a wide berth, and that's why it was put at a $1 million bond. But then you also have people that think he did nothing wrong. There are people that actually think that if you are in the process of being arrested and you're killed for whatever reason, it's an oh well. They believe in street executions. So then you have someone that paid for that $1 million bond. That person's okay with people being killed during arrests. That's what that means.
All right. As usual, mic drop moment. But thank you as always, Angel Perry. You are the bomb. Thank you for always sharing your truth bombs with us.
Absolutely. It's absolute my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome, and no problem. And ladies and gentlemen, if you agree, disagree with anything Angel said there, if you agree or disagree with any of the questions I've been asking, by all means, drop your questions or comments in the comments below. Whatever your thoughts are, and we love to have that conversation with you. Thanks as always, Angel. We will see you again next Wednesday. Take care.
Till next time.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So we're going to take another final commercial break, and we will be back to wrap up with the entertainment story. Stay tuned.
There's more than one way to enjoy a Moreno Bakery custom cake. You could smash it, swipe it, love it, cut it, devour it. Moreno Bakery, for every slice of life.
All right, guys, welcome back to the evening news rundown as we wrap up with the entertainment story. At least 6 different U.S. TV series are set to resume production in British Columbia, one of which includes Batwoman, which you see here. Batwoman, Riverdale, and Maid are set to restart production. And some of the other shows include CBS TV's Nancy Drew and Charmed, along with several Disney shows. Those shows were forced to stop filming last week due to delays in processing COVID-19 tests in British Columbia, where a single lab company, Life Labs, is approved to oversee COVID-19 testing for US-based productions. So now those shows have all started back up again. So that's great news for those particular productions. Some other shows that were originally planning to restart are still on pause, though, including The Flash, Supergirl, and DC's Legends of Tomorrow. They were supposed to begin filming last week in Vancouver, but they are still on pause for now. So tests are performed 3 times a week, and productions will shut down if a COVID-19 outbreak happens or is traced back to the production. Now, in British Columbia, the coronavirus has been pretty well contained, which is why the province has opened up for shooting. And they reopened for shooting all the way back in June. So far, British Columbia has had a pretty good handle on the COVID-19 virus there. Congratulations to British Columbia and to all the comic book fans and basically overall streaming TV fans for being able to get their shows or new content for their shows here soon. But that does it here for us at the Evening News Rundown. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It is a pleasure to host a show for you guys. If you haven't yet, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You can find us at Florida National News on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And on YouTube, be sure to click the little bell icon so you can get all notifications for all of our shows. And in the meantime, another quick reminder for anyone looking to advertise, if you're looking for a platform, you can shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com. Or if you enjoy any of our shows and want to sponsor any of our segments, shoot us an email at ads@floridanationalnews.com. In the meantime, guys, thank you as always for tuning in. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you tomorrow.